Hello, it's me. Yes, we have a title. Okay, it's still the working title, but it's the one that came to me first, and it's the one I think I'm going to stick with. So for now, the working title is going to be called. It is, so it doesn't have to be called that. The working title is Notes from a Wicked Child. It's generally gotten good feedback from anyone that I told about it, so I like it, and I think the more I write, the more it kind of fits. So you would have seen that in one of those last clips, as well as pretty much all I have right now as far as transcribing what I have in my notebook onto the screen, which at this point it's pretty much like as much work as I thought it would be. You know, I knew it was gonna be kind of rough trying to get the layouts right and adding in the sketches that I wanted to do. By the way, I am sketching this book completely myself with a mixture of like paper and then also in a program, like digital arting it, if you will. So that's also like, it provides like a really cool break, you know, from just like typing and formatting and then like, oh, well, you know, I drew a little sketch here. I knew I wanted to add something here. So, you know, to take a break and, you know, sketch or draw and stuff. It's really nice. Also, I got glasses. Very hipster. They are like the blue light filtering kind, which at either of my jobs, I'm not really in front of a screen for long stretches, but I'm in fluorescent lighting, and after long days coming home and pretty much being on my computer until I go to bed, my eyes just get strained like in the dark and like the night and stuff. So far these are working pretty well. Rose, my fish, is doing wonderfully. Thanks for asking. What else have I been up to? I'm getting kind of tan. Pretty much I go out into the sun for like an hour, I burn, and then I kind of fade, and then by the time I'm ready to go out into the sun again, the fade has like already happened like too much where I'll just keep getting like burned. So right now I am in like the fading portion, and so you will have also seen the first poem in the book. I thought it was time to put up some of my poetry because I don't think there's any of my poetry anywhere to read. I was thinking about going through some old creative writing stuff from college, because in those courses we did take like poetry segments, and maybe digging up some of that stuff and posting it, if it's not too like ooh. But yeah, so for now I've decided that my poems are not gonna have titles. And I played around with the idea of adding in titles and, breaking it up with maybe they would be in like the header or they would be with the title font, which is like this typewriter-y font. I know, very original. But in the end, none of it really looked right, and I didn't want to distract from the actual poem because some of the titles that I have been working with are like dead giveaways of what's, the poem is about, and it's kind of like in your face, like, oh, this is exactly what I'm reading, this is what I'm supposed to take away from it. So I figured my readers are smart enough where they read the poem and they can interpret it for themselves. Poetry book is broken up into 3 parts, kind of like how my novella was broken up. So the first part is going to be called Dusk, and the second part will be called Night, and the third part will be called, I forget. Why does that keep capitalizing? I don't want it capitalized. Stop it. What's the third part called? Dawn, maybe? Again, very original, but it captures what I'm trying to do here, so just bear with me. I think the most fun and the most challenging part of, doing this all like yourself is setting up the layout and setting up the book to how you want it to look. I'm very interested in the design aspect of it and, how the final physical copy presents itself. Because of that, and I really want this to be like stylized, and I just want it to be very like acute visually. I'm not even sure what I'm trying to say. I don't think I have the right words. But because of that, I don't think I'm going to be doing an ebook version of this. I think it's just going to be in print. I think that'll give the full experience I want to convey. I have no idea how long it's going to be. I can't imagine it's going to be much longer than my novella, which was like 120 pages. Again, I don't know. I kind of loosely figured out how the poems are going to break up per page as I was writing, but because of sketches and layouts, it might be more, it might be less, so we'll see. Oh, but going back to designing and stuff, because each and every page needs to tell its own story, some of these layouts and stuff are taking a lot longer than others, so it's kind of slow going sometimes, but I really enjoy it. It keeps my attention, I think, more so than just completely line editing a regular novel type book. But that also means every time I sit down, I know I'm going to have like a lot of work ahead of me, and there's a spider on my screen. Ah! Doesn't it look like a scorpion? That makes me uncomfortable. So, where was I? Yeah, so every time I sit down, like, I know I'm going to have a lot to do, and I think that's probably another reason why things have kind of been going so slow. It's because I know that I can't just sit down and edit like a couple pages at a time. Like, when I sit down, I want to try and do it poem by poem just to make sure I'm in the right headspace and make sure I can pick up on the flow. Someone recently asked about motivation and how I stay motivated when I'm writing. That got me thinking as to why. Like, I saw like a meme or a quote or something. It was like, writers say they love to write, but they will do whatever they can to avoid it. Which, it's kind of true for a lot of people. And I think the people who don't have that mindset, like who don't try and avoid it, are the people who have made it a habit, and the people who can consistently write like every single day, or they have like their own routine and they're good, they're set. And for me, those people, I want to say, are probably like 99% full-time writers versus the rest of us who either do it for fun or don't have a big enough fan base or following to be able to write full-time. And then that got me thinking, for me personally, I think the aspect of going from reality and, sitting down and throwing yourself into another world, one that you created, one that you are in charge of and you are responsible for, I think that can be like subconsciously daunting, even though, we don't really see it that way. It's like it's an obvious thing, but in our mind, it's like, that's a lot of work. That's a lot of brain power. So one thing that kind of helps for me is to break it down and decide what I'm going to be doing beforehand. Okay, I need to do this scene, or okay, right now I need to do this poem, or I need to finish the sketch, or, whatever. And that makes it a lot easier to focus. I even, I know that I pantsed like all of this poetry book. I pretty much just kind of wrote whatever came to me at the time. But towards the end, when I knew I had to wrap things up somehow, I started like planning. Like it just kind of came, like how do I want this to end? How are we going to get there? So, the last maybe like quarter of the book, I actually, sat down and plotted out just so I knew how I wanted to wrap things up. And I came up with like 3 different endings, which I don't normally do. Usually I just kind of know how things end like as I'm writing. But yeah, I wrote, 3 different endings, and I kind of merged them all to create one like perfect ending, ideal ending, I guess. Other than that, like as far as motivation goes, I don't know if there's like a secret formula. I think you need to find what motivates you and figure out what helps you be most productive. Whether it is setting a certain slot every day, whether you're like me and not super hard on yourself about it and just kind of like, oh, I have a morning free, I'll work on it a little bit. Alrighty, with that, I just want to give you guys a little bit of an update. I know it's been a week or 2 or 3 since I finished the first draft, and now I'm just doing my best to buckle down and edit and format and that kind of stuff as I go. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know what you think of the title. For my next video, I'm going to try and come up with like a synopsis or like a blurb of what the book is about, because right now it's really hard to formulate it into words. But all the links to my stuff will be down below, and I hope you guys have a great day. If you're participating in Camp NaNoWriMo, good luck. I'm not. Don't have the time, and I'm already like written what I need to write. So yeah, hope you have a good one, and I'll see you next time.